Hello and welcome to a special planning board meeting for Thursday, February 12th. This meeting hearing of the Ayer Planning Board will be held in person at the location provided on this notice. Members of the public are welcome to attend this in-person meeting. Please note that while an option for remote attendance and/or participation via Zoom is being provided as a courtesy to the public, the meeting hearing will not be suspended or terminated if technological problems interrupt the virtual broadcast unless otherwise required by law. Members of the public with a particular interest in a specific item on this agenda should make plans for in-person versus virtual attendance accordingly. This meeting will be live on Zoom. The public may access the proceedings by joining Zoom meeting ID 864-6035-2357 or by calling 929-205-6099. For additional information about remote participation, please contact Daniel Ruiz, Town Planner, at druiz@ayer.ma.us or 978-772-8220, extension 144, prior to the meeting. First order of business is to approve the agenda. I make a motion to approve the agenda as shared.
Second.
Any discussion? No. Hearing none. Nathan?
Aye.
Ken?
Aye.
Kathleen?
Yes.
Chair votes aye. Meeting is open. Hello and welcome. Let me talk a little bit about what's going to happen tonight. So after my brief little introduction, I'm going to turn it over to the town planner, Danny Ruiz, who's going to give us a kind of chronological blow-by-blow of the events that took us to where we are tonight. When he is done, we're going to hear from the applicant's representatives. They're going to explain what happened, the consequences of what happened, and what they're doing to remediate these situations. After that, the board will have an opportunity to ask questions and make comments, and then I'll open up for the public for comments, starting with the room and then turning to Zoom. When it comes time for public comment, I'm going to ask you to wait till I acknowledge you and then invite you up, and you're going to come to the podium here so that you can be picked up on the microphone you can see on top of the ladder. Two other things to understand. One, I know that feelings are strong about this, but there will be no personal attacks here tonight, and we will be civil. And the second thing is that we are not going to relitigate the application decision. With that said, Dan?
Thank you, Chair. So we're here today for a special planning board meeting regarding the Lincoln Hill project. There are two main things that have brought us here. While I was out on site on last Friday, there was construction, there was blasting going on. And during that blasting, there was a fly rock incident. Fly rock left the site and hit an abutting property's shed. There was the fire department, the police department were on site very quickly. We did have a fire department, one of the details there for the blasting as is required. As part of that, there was an investigation done by the fire marshal through the state. I will let the fire chief speak on that a little bit further. The reason I was on site was due to construction, due to traffic issues on site. There were some large vehicles sitting on High Street that shouldn't be sitting there, causing some traffic jam. And there was also an incident where a truck backed all the way up High Street when it wasn't supposed to and didn't follow the approved traffic route. We will also be discussing the approved traffic route and how the applicant proposes to address the concerns that have been risen by the residents in the area. So at this point, I would turn this over to the applicant so they can go through their presentation on what they're going to do to address all of the concerns that the town has brought up to them as part of their stop work order, and then the board will discuss that after that.
Let's give them a gentleman a place to sit. Can you grab it? Is there a chair?
One chair on the other side for you guys for next year.
Is this the best spot?
I would say closer on this side.
Let's do that.
The mic picks up on that.
It's fine. Do you mind if I just look at the podium?
now we're looking at identifying yourself.
Yeah, sure.
Can you make sure that people speak up? We know how bad the acoustics are.
I'll do the best that I can. Just
Yeah.
hold a steady tone. You got a little bit to cover though, so bear with me. First off, my name is Jason Martin. I'm with Onyx Corporation. We are the site contractor for Lincoln Hills Development. The fields are our client. I'm the project manager on the job. So
I'm
just
sorry,
for,
point of order, we really cannot hear you. You have to have microphones. I have to be able to hear this. I have my hearing aids turned all the way up. Whenever you speak down, we can't hear you. Can you hear them in the back?
we stand up and see if I can project a little bit better in here. I apologize. Just gonna have to zoom in on my screen a little bit.
We also can't read that.
Understood.
Yep, I can zoom in for you over here as well.
There's handouts,
There's
copies
handouts
over
right
here. There's copies here. The reason we don't have microphones is because it interferes with the Zoom feed, so people at home can't hear.
Yeah, I can see
So
it fine.
we have to have one or the other.
There's no technology to,
Not in this room, under 48 hours notice when we're under construction. And there was a meeting scheduled downstairs already. So their statement he's reading, I can hand it out. Does anyone need it? Need it?
Yeah, anyone like a written copy in the back?
You guys need some?
Curly, I'd like one.
Yep.
Thank you.
So I'll start again. My name is Jason Martin. I'm with Onyx Corporation. We're the excavator and site contractor on the Lincoln Hills project. The fields are our clients on this job. I just wanted to start off by reading this pre-prepared statement that I wrote in response to everything that's happened on the site over the course of the last few weeks. On behalf of the fields, A1 Drilling and Blasting, our blasting subcontractor, and Onyx Corporation, I would like to sincerely apologize to the residents of Ayer and the members of the town's boards and departments who have had to endure the past several weeks of the Lincoln Hills project. We would also like to apologize to our clients, Janet and Michael Fields, for letting them down. We value our relationships and our reputation with all of our clients in the fields, and they deserve better from Onyx. It was never our intention to cause any disruptions in anyone's daily life. We recognize that this is your neighborhood, your homes, in your town. And to date, we have not been the best guests. I'm sorry, I'm more nervous here. All we ask this evening is that you hear us out and give us an opportunity to earn back your trust. As you all know, Lincoln Hills is a challenging and complex project, and we understand that not everyone is excited about it. We can easily put ourselves in your shoes. We are homeowners, we have families, and many of us have experienced development close to our own homes. We fully recognize the impact our presence has on your daily lives, and Onyx as an organization has a responsibility to be respectful, polite, considerate, and kind to the residents of Ayer. We have not met that standard, and we are disappointed in ourselves. We cannot undo what has already occurred, but we respectfully ask an opportunity to make it right. This project will move forward. We believe the best path for everyone involved is to work together respectfully and cooperatively to see it as completed. This will require clear, consistent communication from residents directly to the job team or to the various town boards, to Onyx in the fields, so that we can understand the concerns and do our best to accommodate them. Danny, your town planner, has done an excellent job fielding calls, emails, and concerns and directing them to the appropriate team members. We expect this process will become clearer. Getting information to the right person quickly is essential to resolving these issues in a timely manner. Regarding the two primary issues that bring us here tonight, we would like to update the public on several changes presented to the town earlier this week. We believe these changes will directly address the concerns surrounding the project and will yield immediate measurable results. We welcome your feedback following this overview. Blasting policy changes. We're going to be installing chain link fence with driven post behind the property located at 29 High Street on the western side of the blasting limits. We believe with this scrim, that this should reduce not only the sight lines into the project, but limit the possibility of fly rock leaving the site. We are going to be reducing the size and the shapes of the glass by modifying the drill patterns in rows of 3 and elongated rows, thereby reducing both the amount of explosives and the overall blast area. Blasting mats will be overlapped by a minimum of 3 feet, and an increase in the total number of mats, and special attention given to the western side of the site, which is where the houses will be closest to the blasting. A1 Drilling and Blasting will provide additional details on these enhanced safety procedures and protocols in cooperation with Onyx and the Ayer Fire Department, and will address the questions later on in the evening.
You skipped a bullet.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, Onyx Safety Manager, to this point, has been doing occasional inspections on the site to observe blasting operations and provide additional set trained eyes on preparations and procedures. Sean will now dedicate his time to this project for the next couple of weeks to ensure compliance, not only with A1's blasting protocols, but with our own internal safety protocols as it relates to blasting efforts. As for the traffic and delivery concerns, first and foremost, we take full responsibility for the shortcomings in our planning that brought us to this point. We are ultimately responsible for any deviations to the approved routes and for resulting in the disruption and safety concerns experienced by the residents of Ayer. From the start of this project, we have emphasized the importance of adhering to the approved truck routes. With our employees and vendors, despite repeated calls, emails, and route instructions, including on delivery orders, some vendors and even our own employees have failed to comply. We acknowledge that we have not been firm enough, nor have we provided sufficient signage to prevent drivers from disregarding restrictions. In response, our job team has developed more robust procedures to significantly reduce the likelihood of future deviations. We have also worked with the town, Danny, the chief of police, to amend our originally approved truck route, which has proved to be impractical for certain large trucks and loads of equipment. The issue is raised with the town early in the process along with proposed alternative routes that can allow oversized vehicles to travel safely without causing damage to private property. I'll add a section to this that was approved today. We recorded the decision. We had a driver come out and drive a few different routes and come up with our low bed driver which route he could access safely. Highland off of Washington with the granite work that's out front there and the narrowness of that road is just impossible for these 100-foot-long trucks. So we did email the town on January 5th with some suggested alternative routes, and we've now worked that out. So that's a plus, and we can share those with you later. Installation of 3x3 orange construction signs that say no delivery trucks with Onyx underneath. The reason we did those so specifically, and we didn't just put up a cookie cutter sign, is we don't want to exclude traffic that should be in the neighborhood. If we put something up that's too prohibitive, you won't get your Amazon packages, you won't get your deliveries, etc. So we have to be very specific about the wording on those signs and make sure that people realize that those restrictions are for this project only. All deliveries will be directed, this is the big one that we're going to take on right away. All deliveries from now on will be directed to an off-site staging area where drivers will wait to be escorted to the site by an Onyx employee. This location is being worked out now with guidance from the town and the DPW. All oversized equipment deliveries utilizing Broadman Harvard Road entrance will be coordinated in advance with the Ayer Police Department, and traffic officer will be dispatched to assist with traffic control and public safety. For any vehicle-related incidents, including parking issues, speeding, ignored signage, property damage, or other safety concerns, residents are encouraged to contact me directly. I'll leave a stack of my business cards here tonight. We also request the support. The chief of police has been fantastic in encouraging the chief that if there are any deviations or any speeding or disregard for safety on the roads of Ayer, that he pull over those drivers and ticket them. We will reconvene with the town boards and departments in about 2 weeks, if it's acceptable to the planning board, and review these newly implemented changes and to measure the effectiveness and get some feedback from the town as to how things are working with the new plans. We appreciate the opportunity to present these proposals and look forward to continued dialogue with the boards and departments of the town of Ayer. We commit to an ongoing collaborative with Danny and the other town representatives to ensure these policies remain effective throughout Onyx's involvement in the project. This is a starting point, not a final solution, and will remain flexible and receptive to all practical measures to improve the quality of life of Ayer residents. So, to that.
Thank you, Mr. Martin.
You're welcome.
I think so. At this point, what I would like to do is turn it over to the fire chief so we can have this first discussion regarding blasting incident.
Great, thanks, Danny. Can everybody hear me okay? So if you want, I can just briefly go over what happened last Thursday. So we had a fire detail up at the job site last Thursday. Just after 10 in the morning, a blast went off. The fire detail relayed back to the station that there was a fly rock incident. What that means is a piece of the rock from the blast site left the site and went off site, which was, I believe, 29 High Street. He called down the fire station, the deputy chief and the captain responded down there. We created an incident for that. Per our protocol, we notified the fire marshal's office code compliance unit, in which they sent one of the inspectors out. Between the fire department, the police also were up there, the fire department, and the code compliance officials from the state determined there would be no blasting for the day while the investigation was underway. And I believe Onyx and A1 Blasting also did their own internal investigation, parallel. I think within an hour or two that investigation was completed. There was going to be no more blasting until the state had completed their investigation. So from then on, so that was turned into Friday. I reached out to the code compliance officials. They weren't done with that investigation as of Friday, so there was no more blasting. I reached out to them again on Monday, in which they concluded, and they found the same. There was no evidence of willful negligence or deviation from the approved blasting plan. We as a fire department agreed with that as well. Since there was a stop work order in place, there was going to be no more blasting until then. So we're just so the state's cleared them. We're good pending removal of the stop work order, in which then we would issue them another permit to continue with their blasting. And if I have any questions while I'm up here, you want me just, any questions on the blasting incident?
Yes, could you please explain what the difference was? And you said that they were violating the approved blasting plan. What did they do that was different than what they were allowed to do? Exactly.
I said there was no violations of the approved blast plan. No violations of it. So what they did was what they said they were going to do.
So it happened anyhow?
It does happen. It's an industry thing that sometimes these incidents happen. I talked to the code compliance official on Friday. He didn't answer my call because he was out doing another fly rock incident in another jurisdiction in the state. So these incidents do happen. I think they do a good job of any industry or anything you do. The accidents do happen, but they had everything they did. They expected not to have fly rock.
Is it appropriate to make a comment?
Danny, do we have more of the factual background to deliver first before we open up the public comment?
Yeah, I think we would go through through the next couple of...
Yeah, and I'd be happy to come back up and answer any questions.
I'll ask the police chief to come up to discuss the traffic. Sure. Good evening, everybody. Chief Brian Gill. So from the beginning of this project, the challenge has been kind of multifold. The biggest thing was, how do we get the big trucks into these neighborhoods? What we knew right off the bat was the Columbia Street side onto High Street just was not going to be a workable roadway to get these trucks up. So we looked at the Highland Ave entrance on Washington Street. That instantly became apparent that that was not going to be able to accommodate any trucks making a turn from Washington Street. So we went back to the drawing table with Onyx, with the planning board, and we discussed an alternative route to try and get these trucks in here, because really there's three ways to get in there. There's High Street, Highland, and an access off of Groton Harvard Road. So we opted to look at, can we do this through an alternative entrance with trucks coming up from Washington Street onto one of the northern roads leading onto Highland. So we tried, and we looked at that, and we believed that there was a road wide enough to accommodate the trucks. There was some concerns there, and it became apparent too that was going to be a challenge road. And really, we didn't have a lot of time to work with that, using that roadway, but we're here today to try and figure out how do we get the road, how to get these trucks safely into this job site, because the trucks do have to get onto the job site. So we're looking at, and I appreciate Onyx coming up with a traffic plan that kind of almost eliminates confusion of any trucks getting in there, and that's using the staging area and then having one of their employees go out and then grab them and escort them in. And the staging area is good. It has to accommodate a truck to stand there and wait. So we're still kind of working out those details from there. But that's where we're at. So to eliminate any of the confusion, Onyx has offered to put up these 6 signs. They're the construction orange, and that should keep any of these large vehicles out of that really congested neighborhood. And as Danny explained, he was up there because of a large truck doing whatever up there and had the whole area, I don't think we could even know how they got in there, but really messed up the area. So we need to, these signs should prevent that from happening. So I'm confident with the, we'll say, relatively confident that this plan will suffice to get these large trucks safely into this job site area. One of the concerns that we had when we started to kind of shift the trucks over to Groton Harbor Road to get them in was, and we do this with many contractors in town, that if they're just going to be stopping and dropping off a truck, we can just send one of our patrols over there, because it's usually under 15 minutes. And we can make that happen. This became, there was a lot of trucks coming and going, and we were taking our patrols, we were taking our vehicles off patrols and our officers off patrol. So one of the things that we asked is that this is going to have to be a pre-planned kind of operation, that they were going to have to schedule officers to be out at the location so we can safely get whatever we need to get into this job site from the Groton Harbor roadside. Because these trucks are big, they do take up most of the lane, and just to have it done, without any type of traffic control is unsafe. So we need to have something in that spot there. Cover everything? Okay. And I think so at this point, we've kind of addressed the topics that were the biggest concerns that the town felt we heard from residents, as well as from the town side. The applicant has presented their plans, so I think we would turn it over to the planning board to let them have their chance to discuss this and ask questions, and then turn it over to the public as well.
So I'll start. So were there any material consequences for the blasting incident?
For the
Can't hear that. You gotta say.
Were there any material consequences from this incident?
So, as far as material consequences from
Please, please.
the state fire marshal that's investigating this, it's my understanding that the blast master from A1 that day that was responsible for charging the blast is subject to a license suspension and also a probationary period with his blasting license. Blasting licenses are given to individuals, as far as I know of the business. So that's going to obviously seriously limit his availability to A1 in his full capacity. So, and I'll let you elaborate on that too, Tim.
Good evening, everybody. My name's Tim Keefe. I work for Ayer Drilling and Blasting, like Jason said earlier today. Sorry. Good evening, everybody. My name's Tim Keefe. I'm with A1 Drilling and Blasting, and like Jason said earlier, with the board, we have not, shown our best foot forward in there in this incident. There's a lot of things that led up to this in geology. We brought in the state. They overcome look at us. They review our paperwork, our pre-blast procedures mainly, and make sure we're following the patterns and making sure that everything stays within the state limits. Fly rock is not a normal thing in our business. It does happen. It's an accident. It truly happens. We go back to the board. We bring in people in our company that have 30 to 40 years of experience in this, and we review everything from when the blaster gets there, how he loaded the shot, how he matted it, how he communicated with the construction company. So we look at everything through this procedure. Over this procedure, what we've decided to come up with is, I'm going to kind of make it simple. We're out there taking chunks of blast out. So we came in here after the state looked at it and said, maybe first thing we're going to do is take smaller chunks out. So we're not taking such big bites out. We did 19 blasts up there. Blast 19 was the blast that we had the incident on. So we had 18 successful blasts. We also are under limits on ground vibration and air blast. We did not exceed any of those limits so far on the job, even after that incident. The state allows us, let's say 100%, we haven't exceeded 50% of the state's limit. We generally don't like to do that on construction jobs, to exceed those limits.
Did you say again what the limits were for?
The limits are for ground vibration and air vibrations that comes off when we detonate the blast. The fire, like we said, the fire department's there every day with us. They review our paperwork, they review the seismograph, so it's not like we can go up there and change the stuff. They're there, they're monitoring us, and we have to report this. Every blast has to be reported to the state and to the federal government. So it's very hard to sweep anything under the table with this. We take this very serious in our company. Like I said, our blaster is pulled from blasting for right now. He'll be a minimum 45 days to 60 days back in training. He's going to lose his license through the state. He'll have to go back and retest. It's a gentleman who's done this for 8 years. He's never had an incident under his belt. That's how serious it is. It's his livelihood, but at the end of the day, it's also everyone's safety that's most important to A1 Onyx in the fields. We've made some changes. We're going to bring in more blasting mats, take a little smaller shots up there. It might prolong the job just a little bit more than what we said, but we had to make some changes. Looking at the way the geology also changed going up that hill, there's a lot of stuff that you don't see, but after we did our investigation, you start to see other stuff. We did bring Rick Rowland, a geologist, to help work with us, another set of eyes to if there's anything else that we're not seeing, because we're not all geologists either. So Richard Roll did work with us on this. Gave us some suggestions, and then we came up with this plan for the town and Onyx, and I think, I know we'll definitely finish this job very successful.
Substantially increase the safety factors.
Yes.
What was that?
We feel it will substantially increase the safety factors on each shot. You know, obviously the smaller chunks you take, the less explosives, the less.
I got a question for you. Wouldn't it have made sense?
Hold on, we're going to take questions later. We're going to let them
later?
speak, and then you definitely will have an opportunity, sir.
Well, I apologize, we are answering the board, we don't want to turn our
I
backs
understand.
to the crowd as well, so trying to serve both functions. Yes.
Do you have an estimate for how many more days of blasting are ahead of us?
We're estimating about 27 days left.
Tell us
27 days blasting left.
27 more days.
Days of blasting.
Days or shots?
Days.
So that's several shots a day?
Yes. Yeah.
27 from, like 27 days, like if I count, or 27 days where a blast is gonna go off?
27 blasting.
27 days where blast is gonna happen?
Yeah,
Okay.
27 blasting days. You know, equipment may malfunction, drill breaks down, the truck breaks down, so might, you know, we're only gonna be able to blast once a day, you know, so we might have to extend it a day or so, but our goal is to be that time.
We're working with the planning board to get maybe an extra hour in the afternoon that we can blast, and that might make the difference between getting 3 shots a day and only getting 2. So we put it in the planning board's hands to tell us whether you want us to put another extra hour into the day and tear the Band-Aid off, or do you want to slow down and kind of go for a longer duration? So when we pare down these blasts and we try to increase the safety factor, that's increasing the number of total blasts that we're going to have to accomplish the same goal. So that's why the schedule has swelled as it has.
If you go to smaller blasts, will you have to spend more days?
Yeah, there's a direct correlation to that, and that's what we're working with the planning board now on, is to try to increase the hours that we can blast during the day so that we can kind of trim that duration down as much as possible, if that makes sense. But yeah, when we do smaller shots, obviously, there's X amount of cubic feet to come out. You divide it up by how much we're breaking off by a chunk, and that's where Tim comes up with his total blast days.
Can you take the report that you submitted to us and go over page 2, which talks about the blast details, investigative findings, and corrective action? Just double check it.
Okay, so they want me just to report on, we got a report done through the state fire marshal's office and A1. We came up with a corrective action plan, and starting off with the corrective action plan is we revised the blast plan up there. So we have a general blast plan that we started with, we revised it, making, like, going back to smaller shots. Going back to smaller shots, double matting is another thing. So when we were up there, we were single placing the mats. We are now going to be putting 2 layers of mats on, so they'll be layered across each other to help prevent any of the fly rock incidents. We're also reducing the weight charges of the blast, so each hole weight charge is going to be a little less. We're going to reduce that, reduce the size of the blast, matting overage. Yep, and that's everything. And again, the last corrective thing was what we talked about with my blaster that was up there. He is, he's suspended for now. When he comes back, he'll have to relicense, and he'll be under probation for a good year again, working with another trained blaster. So it's very serious up there.
And yes, Kathleen?
So I have to imagine that if you're in a butter or a neighbor, you're a little scared about this right now. So I'm wondering if there's an opportunity to increase the radius of the zero-cost pre-blast surveys.
Zero cost. The state part. Oh, I see what you're saying.
The pre-blast surveys were given to people that were within a certain number of feet from
250 feet.
Yeah, but that doesn't cover the
Your voice is
direct.
echoing back here. It's really hard to hear you. I'm sorry.
I'm wondering so there are folks that received a pre-blast survey because you were within a certain number of feet from the radius. And I am wondering if we have an opportunity to increase the radius of the pre-blast surveys, particularly the zero-cost ones. I don't know, like, this would have to, I'm just proposing this, like, the planning board, I don't know if we have to discuss this. It is just like my personal opinion. I don't know if this goes to A1 or Onyx or the Fields, but I just would like to put that out there.
I think that is, I'm sorry.
That's okay, Jason, just turn around and say it loud.
I think that's certainly something we as a job team can consider. There would have to be obviously some breaking point for it, but we can look at certainly expanding the distance from the center of these blasts out a little bit further and offering some additional surveys to people if it would make you, certainly make you feel a little bit better if we had good record of the condition of the house prior to. So that's something we can look at. We can back out, look at the map again, and see how many homes are going to be impacted if we bump the radius out to 300 or 350 or 400 feet, and then get back to the planning board with some decisions. And I'm sure Danny can get the results of that out to you pretty quickly.
Thank you. Anything else from the board?
I guess, how do we get that back so that folks know that they can contact you? Like, what's the process?
So if they were to offer that, that would be something that's outside of the planning board's decision.
Okay.
That's a state law. We can't over-restrict on that one, but if they were to offer that, they could send something to me that I would then send over to the board so that you guys could also see as well, and I could work with the applicant on that and make sure that the pre-blast surveys, if it is increased, that they get completed.
Okay, yeah, so then I guess the message is just, I would hope that you take that into consideration.
Absolutely. So the map that we provided, if you could just split it with the big center springs, we can expand upon that to account of how many people are impacted by that. And then, absolutely.
But how does that work? Because I know I'm not supposed to ask questions now, but the blasting is already, there've already been, what you're saying, 19 blasts. So I think it's a great idea, but I don't understand how you would survey.
Yeah, it would be based off of today's condition.
Yeah.
Post already 19 blasts.
Okay.
Jason, can you and the team just double check again? Explain a little bit more about the geology and why you did 19 or 18 blasts and felt that there was no issue. But on the 19th blast, something happened. Is there something about the shape, the exposed rock out of the ground, the angle of the mats, things like this that happen to be different?
So on this job, what we noticed on the last shot there that we had the anomaly with, there was a big point sticking out of the side of it. And when the blaster laid his mats over, we felt like the shot just moved a little faster and kind of exposed the back of the shot. So that's why we decided to take less chunks out, bring more mats in to cover the back of it, to negate flat rock.
Yeah, and I'll just add briefly to that. I know we're not all geologists, but if you've seen rock indigenous to this area, there's different types, right? There's granite, there's ledge that are very solid and very tight. And that's what we've been finding kind of below grade there. We've had to drill to hit rock. It's been very dense and hard rock. And this one particular knob here, and you can almost see it in the way that it broke. It was almost like a shaly type of a consistency. When the blast hit it, it just fractured like window panes. Which is not representative of what we had seen on the site until we got into that exposed knob. So the blast 19, just so we're clear, was an outcropping of ledge that came up out of the surface of the ground. It was the only piece of ledge that kind of protruded up out of the grade, the existing subgrade. So everything that we had blasted to that point had been matted on a flat surface, and the energy stayed in the ground as designed. This particular rock, to my eye, and I'm sure Tim too, he's seen a lot of rock, when it broke, that shale just came apart. And definitely lended some projectiles to the...
Was that the first blast you did at that location?
No, not on the site, but we were moving in a direction. So we started on one road and we kind of blast our way up that road, and whatever is in the next sequence is what we go after. So we had just blasted our way over to this knob and had to blast the knob out. So You know, you would expect the rock in an area to be fairly consistent from 6 feet in one direction to the next. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case here with this particular outcropping.
So
Did that answer your question?
yes,
Sorry.
thank you. Just want to go back, Danny. Did we say that there was a time frame, for instance, like 2 weeks, we were going to review the changes and they'll come back to us in 2 weeks? Or what's the reporting and the requirement to come back to us with reporting about the progress?
Yeah.
And who's making the report?
Yeah, so as of right now, the stop work order is still in place. So what would happen is the applicant hosts this meeting.
A little louder, please.
After this meeting, there would be the building commissioner would review everything and make a determination on if he lifts the stop work order. And the stop work order is based on the safety. And if he feels that it has been addressed, at that point, the stop work order would be lifted and they would go back to blasting on site. They would still need to go through the fire department to get their permit that has lapsed, so that would eventually, they would still go through the fire department for all of that. Once that gets issued, then they would start blasting. The implementation of all of the plan, what would happen is, so in terms of the construction, traffic, and all of that, the applicant would put the signs up, and we would check that with the DPW to make sure that it's been all placed in the correct locations. And they would start implementing the other things that they're going to do on site, with the staging off-site, all of that. In terms of the blasting, the fencing that they're going to put on the western portion of the site, that would be installed as well, and all of the other corrective action plans that they have in the blasting would be done. Over the next 2 weeks of whenever the stop work order gets lifted, they would track all of these changes that have been done and have been put in place and determine, and then give us an update to see has it worked and has it not. Myself and the building commissioner will be out on site more frequently to see if this stuff has all been working as well. So it's not just only from the applicant, it'll be also from myself, the building commissioner. I'm sure the fire chief will also be up there. So there's going to be multiple people checking on this. And at the next planning board meeting, which would be on the 24th, the planning board would get an update as to where things are going and if any corrective action needs to be done post that.
So we had asked Danny to keep an open dialogue. We had asked Danny to keep an open dialogue as we implement these new traffic procedures, and I had offered to meet with Danny and any member of any of the boards or the police chief or whoever is pertinent to us conforming with this new traffic plan, that after 2 weeks we meet and see how it's going, see if there's any tweaks that need to be made, see what the feedback from the neighbors and the public are, and try to just make any adjustments to the plans that we presented tonight that we might deem necessary after 2 weeks of it being implemented. I think to continue to do that through this hump in the project, and I say hump because we're going to get through this big chunk of work that we're doing right now very rapidly. I can touch on schedule later if the board would like, just to kind of give you guys a broader picture of how long we'll be in town here. So I think that it would be productive for all involved if we just kept an open dialogue with the boards and members of the town here as to how this is working and whether or not it's been effective.
Also,
Janet? Get up and turn around.
so we, as a team, have meetings every Friday, and I asked Danny and Mike if they would be interested in attending at least bi-weekly of our Friday meetings. So that's an open invitation if you'd like to come. And now they've set up the job site trailer, so we could have the meeting there. You could see what's going on in the project, and at the same time,
Yeah, it's a good one.
look at the schedule.
Is this my,
Kind of related question. So the work on the site that's going on now with the blasting, survey of the site and whatnot.
Speak up, Ken.
You're going to finish all the blasting that's required on the site, not just the blasting that's required in the roads. So have you assessed the rest of the site to say, you know what? When we get out of here, we don't have any more blasting. You don't have to come back for an underground sewer line, or you don't have to come back for a house foundation. You don't have to come back for any other item that's related to the site development.
So, very good question, important question. So when Onyx took the job, we had some test pit data that we do our estimates off of that are based off of, when the fields were in their due diligence section of the engineering phase. Test pits were performed, borings were performed on the site. Despite those borings, they're not perfect. So they go out, they do all the test pitting, and we come up with a volume of how many cubic yards of rock are there that interfere with any of the design utilities or the house boxes themselves, in other words, the foundations. So part of our contract is to remove all of the ledge associated with the entire job. So every single house lot that has ledge, every single building foundation that requires blasting to get the slab, to get to the footing grade, we are blasting down to all of that right now in one swoop. So yeah, and honestly, that's where some of our volumes came from, was our missed volumes were kind of subject to the deepest utilities. So as the utilities were designed, we have sewer, for instance, it's at 14 feet deep in the road, which means we have to blast to 16 feet to accommodate the structures in the pipe. So all that's been taken into account. We've come up with a very tight volume based on what we've actually exposed out there on site, and we're very confident in the volume that we're presenting tonight and the remaining blasting days required.
Thank you.
Can I just say something? There's someone waiting to be let into Zoom so they can watch. They said they're in the waiting room.
I don't see anyone. I see Catherine Yates' hands way up, but I don't see.
Is it Adam? Is Adam?
The hand on the right-hand side?
Yeah, she's holding her hand up because she wants to speak, but we're not there yet.
But there's no one waiting to get in.
Okay.
We're all set.
Any further questions from the board? I'm going to open this up to public input. I'm going to ask that if you wish to be recognized, raise your hand so I can see you. I will acknowledge you. Please come up here so you'll be closer to the microphone so the people on Zoom can hear your question. I know it's nerve-wracking speaking to a room full of people. When you get up there, feel free to take a deep breath. We'll wait for you. We'll wait for you. I'm going to ask you to limit your comments to 5 minutes, and that we restrict counter questions. If anyone has a counter question to something, it needs to be directed to the chair and then me back to you, and that's so that the meeting doesn't devolve into chaos. All right, we're all good? All right, who's first? Ms. Gauvin? So the process, when it works, you come up, you say your name, your street address, and then you can ask your question or make your comment.
Thank you. Julianne Gauvin, 34 Groton Harvard Road. My question is specific to what was just mentioned, taking out all of the rock on the site. The site extends down the hill right adjacent to my home, which is considerably closer than where you're blasting right now. Where you're blasting. Is that still a plan? Will there be blasting on the easement between the houses, the McGillicuddies and myself, which also affects the Cazeras, at where number 38 was?
Correct, yes. There is some blasting in the easement. I think we've identified about 1,500 cubic yards of rock or ledge that's in that easement. And it's a fairly shallow cut through there, I believe, Kevin, which I think you blasted about 6 or 8 feet through there.
It's deeper than that, I think.
Is it? Well, at the top, yeah.
At the top of the manhole.
Coming down into the easement there, it'll shallow up quite a bit. But yes, to answer your question, it's about 1,500 cubic yards of ledge should be removed out of the easement.
So your blasting plan will decrease?
The closer we get to the houses, in the original blast plan and our new blast plan, it was always original that the closer we get, we do decrease. We have to.
Okay.
It's based on how close we are to the houses. So yes, it will decrease. Yeah.
Thank you.
Will they get a pre-blast survey if they're
within 250?
We've already had the pre-blast.
Okay.
It's already done. We purchased the video and everything, so it's all good.
I just wanted to make sure.
Thank you for asking.
Thank you, Ms. Gauvin. Yes, Ms. Sobel? Say, sorry, pardon me. I'm just going to have to ask you to be loud.
I can be very loud. I just have a couple of questions specifically related to Jason's explanation, which I thought was very helpful and very specific. But there were a couple things you mentioned that I'm not clear on. On, I think, page 3, on page 2, 4 paragraphs up from the bottom, the following procedures will be implemented prior to any future third-party deliveries. What's the definition of a third-party delivery?
So, great question. I'm glad I got a chance to clarify that. So, part of the problem we had up there Thursday was a delivery of pipe to the site from a vendor that sells, obviously, all of our drain, water, and sewer pipe. Attached to our purchase order that we send them to the salesman is all the route restrictions and delivery instructions and so on and so forth. And after this occurred on Thursday, I obviously sent them a very strongly worded email about why did you deviate from our agreed upon traffic plan, to which the response was, oh, well, we dispatched that material out of a different store and the message didn't get to the driver. So when I hear this, it's like trying to put 100 million monkeys in a barrel. You've got people that are involved in this project that have no idea where the job is, how to get there, how important those delivery instructions are. They put it in their GPS and they go wherever the blue line is. And that the difficulty is trying to contain that down to the level of people that don't work directly for Onyx. So when I say third-party deliveries, it's these companies that are delivering our precast, our pipe, our supplies out to the job. We have very good control over the drivers that work directly for us. We have a direct line of communication to the driver in the truck, and we can express how important it is that they stay on those routes. It's very difficult when we've got third-party vendors coming out, because we don't have an avenue to get a hold of the guy driving the truck. So that's why we thought the only way to kind of contain this is going to be to implement what we had suggested and give them the address of the staging and nothing more, so that they get to that staging lot and they can't possibly screw it up. We will pick them up and escort them into the job so that there's no good idea ferries visiting that will cut down this road instead of going that way. Does that answer your question? So third party being people that we don't have direct, aren't Onyx employees, basically.
Very much related to that, can you explain the staging area? Where will it be? It sounds like, from what I understood, the stuff is going to be offloaded onto smaller trucks that can manage that?
No. The staging area, the purpose of the staging area is to do just what I said, keep people from trying to find their way on their own into the neighborhood and give us control with an Onyx employee escorting the vehicle into the site and not deviating from the route. We can't really offload on somebody else's property. So what we have, what we're trying to work with the town, the DPW, and some private business owners in the area, especially up towards the Rotary area, because I think that's a very centrally located, easy to navigate for any size vehicle. If I can find somebody that's willing to work with us up there, and that's what we're working on now. We have an alternative plan kind of already in place, but I want to see if I can do better. Get something up by that Rotary so that our trucks can meet them at the Rotary, escort them out of the Rotary and right back into town.
The Rotary, the Air Rotary, or Jarvis Ford is?
Yes, ma'am.
I don't know why I'm pointing in this area. So that's where you think
That's the area we're focusing on right now, and regardless of whether or not the town lifts the stop work order tonight, we still have work to do, right? So if they decide they're going to lift it, we don't have all the pieces to the puzzle yet. I think by Tuesday, we should be back to work. But we're not going to rush back there and screw this up again. We're going to take whatever time is necessary to make sure that we have all the pieces of the puzzle in place here, and that, these things are worked out ahead of time, so we're not,
And how long, this is
Hang on,
maybe more of a question for the fire chief, but how long does it take for that permit that you have to issue is that the blasting permit?
Yeah, that permit can be done in a matter of minutes.
Oh.
It's just a matter of their permit was good for 30 days and it expired on Friday. So, and if that's something, Monday, and if it needed to be reissued, we would have done that, but there was a stop work order, so there was no rush, but that can be done like quickly.
Okay, I think that's it, thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Chief.
Just to kind of build upon what we've been talking about with the traffic route, what we're trying to do is identify the best traffic route that can and was designed to accommodate truck traffic. So that's why we'll look as they're coming off of 495, they'll be coming off of Route 2, whatever it is. We just got to get them into there and not use this residential neighborhood. We're going to try and get them into the rotary and somewhere off of that rotary where can we stage, find a staging area. That's what we're looking for.
Thank you, Chief. Oh, excuse me.
Yeah, it's a related question.
Okay, who would like to speak next?
Or do you want to?
What's that?
Do you want questions related to this first?
Come up, Lori.
This is just a related quick question.
Yeah.
Speak up. I wondered if you were talking to Devon's as a possible staging area near the rotary. There's a lot of possible open spaces there.
Yeah, so just to clarify, I'm not talking to anybody. I'm just trying to help identify a route. Finding the staging area is going to be on, for Onyx.
You had a suggestion, though? I'd love to hear.
Yeah, near the rotary, there are lots of places you can.
Yeah, no, and we're doing explorations there, but, we also don't want to be trespassing anybody's property or anything with our vehicles, so there's a bit of a process involved with getting that staging area established. If anyone knows of a spot that would be accommodating, we'd love to hear about it. But,
I would suggest that there are many places that have really big parking lots that I don't think they're well used.
Yeah.
There's some money exchange, something like that. There's many places near the rotary.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Cerulean blue jacket. 4 years of art school had to account for something.
Jason Solder, Winter Band. What is the new route? I know the old routes. I haven't really had the new route explained. That's really just
So I can pull that up. So at the January 27th planning board meeting, the planning board voted to approve a minor modification, which would have the larger trucks go down down Washington Street to this intersection with Coolidge Road, go down Coolidge Road all the way down to the Highland Ave, and from there go down Highland Ave to Winthrop Ave. So that intersection at Coolidge Road and Highland Ave is a bit wider and more accommodating for the larger trucks to be able to make those turns. There's no retaining walls, there's no granite curbing on those in that area, so it allows for a bigger turn radius for these larger trucks.
Thank you. Yep, I saw, yes, black jacket. Come on up.
We're gonna come together.
Okay. Hi, and welcome. If you would just give your names and address first.
I'm Janelle Lee Firing,
Yeah, I'm fine.
and we're at 29 High Street.
Hi, and welcome.
I did have one question, well, probably a few others.
Sure.
In regards to, I think it's Onyx that I'm asking this to. I want to know more about the post chain link fence that's going to be put at our...
Along the property line?
Yeah, along our property line. It says here to reduce visibility into the site. Is that because of me taking a video of the explosion?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
No, there's nothing to do with that.
There's already a chain link fence there, so I'm just wondering what the purpose of it is.
It's, I'll stand up and answer so we can hear. So the purpose of the chain link fence is to be a last line of defense if we were to have another fly rock incident. We felt it was just an additional, fairly inexpensive insurance policy to make sure that everything on the site stays on the site. So rather than put up one of those flimsy temp fences that tip over, yeah, okay, I'll get to that, that tip over every time the wind blows, we're going to actually drive posts down into the ground so that if anything was to hit that chain, it would have enough rigidity to keep the material in the site. The scrim is just like a green decorative. You've probably seen it on chain link fences before. It serves two things. It's going to keep the finer material that could potentially pass through the chain link will hit the scrim, and it also just kind of buffers the site visually so that you're not, looking right into our guys' butts that are bent over, putting pipe to get hurt in the hole. So we just thought that the scrim it was another layer and help protect the property a little bit better.
And I did
6 feet on the chain link fence, actually.
I did also want to address that it keeps saying fly rock.
Yeah.
It's plural. It was not just one rock. One rock, yes, went through our shed. However, there was damage to our roof of our house and also a construction vehicle on site that I don't know if it belongs to A1 or to Onyx. So when they say fly rock, it's not just one rock that went everywhere. It was multiple rocks. I have videos, I've submitted it to the state. It was all put into the investigation. But I do want to point that out, that this blast went off much larger than the others that have occurred. And I directly saw it, took video, and it did hit our roof of our house, our shed, and also the construction vehicle on site. Because it's not being very clear when it's just saying shed. It was not. It was above me at my house.
And speaking about the blasting, I was going to...
Louder.
Be loud, sir, I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry. Speaking about the blasting, when you were talking, I think, the A1 gentleman, I forget your name, about the smaller shots that we're going to go to from the bigger shots. I was just kind of thinking, well, there's assisted living, our house that are close by, and then there's some spots that are not as close to the properties. Where were the shots that were beginning, those first 13, were they close to our property? Did you guys start with smaller shots near our property? I mean, how was that? And then you mentioned you saw some ledge or something sticking up out of the ground. I just kind of scratching my head about that.
We basically took our 18 successful blasts up there.
So, he just needs to know where you guys started.
Yeah, we started at the bottom of the hill, which would be John, one point this out.
Yeah, well, which we had the original. We were at the bottom of the hill, basically, and we just established the face, and we brought that face right up the hill towards their property, which is like High Street, towards the assisted living.
So just so that everyone's clear, they started down here in this area, worked their way up towards High Street and Winthrop Street, towards the assisted living and towards 29 High Street. So they worked up the hill.
I do want to know too, with the planning board, the town planning, we were always told nothing like this is going to happen, nothing like this is going to happen. You can be outside in your yard, you can go about your day. What is the plan if something like this does happen again, because it was not at all prepared for at the time of the event?
That's right.
Very important question.
So I'm going to send this over to the chief because actually at one of the planning board meetings, the chief did explain that this does happen and it could happen.
Yeah, thanks, Danny. So I did explain that. I don't know who was at that meeting, but I can think of just off the top of my head, over the course of the last 10, 15, 20 years that we've had, 3, like right off the top of my head, fly rock incidents in town. When I say a fly rock incident, we're not saying there wasn't more than one, by the way. It's fly rock. We don't put an S on it. So we're not undermining that there was more than, just one rock. So I'll be very clear with that. But I think it was at a public hearing with the contractors that I said this was a possibility. But having said that, I completely agree with, let me clarify a couple things. One, that incident is taken very seriously. As the blaster noted, that blaster is going to be given a hearing before the license board in the next coming weeks. That's what the code compliance official said to me. So certainly they have potential punishment ahead for them. As I said, there was no willful negligence. There was nothing found. We agreed with that, with what the state found as well. Moving forward, I can completely agree with two things things that they are coming. They're coming up with reducing their size of blast, so I think it's from 4 rows to 3, and the way they're going to do their maps. I can't sit here before you and say this will not happen again. It's part of the construction process, but I think they're doing their due diligence that, you know, in most of these cases, if not, you know, like 99% of them, it's just property that gets hit, and we don't want anything much more than property. But the idea is for zero tolerance, but the things they put in place are what actually is needed. The state has vetted that process, so I have no reason to, you know, stop them from moving forward once, you know, the stop work order is done. Do I feel comfortable with that process? Absolutely, but I don't live next door to it, but we're doing everything to make sure it doesn't happen again. But I can't say for certainty that that's the case, but we're here to, you know, they vetted the process, they come up with a plan, the state's agreed with it, we've agreed with it. But nothing's 100%.
I know I've spoken with Chief Gill in regards to the traffic, and that's part of what this concern comes about. One of the other things that I wanted to bring to your attention, which I know you're aware of, is not only is it the trucks that are getting to the site, but it's also the added traffic. They never put in that added parking lot for the assisted living staff. So you now have staff parking there, coming and going, trucks coming and going, me trying to get a child on the bus. There's all that still added in up there. So how are we going to keep everybody up there safe with all these trucks, delivery trucks going to the assisted living, delivery trucks going to the site, me trying to get in and out of my driveway and having to call multiple times because I cannot get out of my driveway. I've asked plenty of times to have complete access, given that I have a son that is a diabetic and I need to have medical access. And every time I'm calling and looking like the complainer because I can't get to my house or out of my house. And even that morning of the blast, you were there because Onyx had a vehicle blocking and the green pipes were also blocking. That one was way down High Street.
So I know at least 2 parts of this, and then you can follow through. One is that, of course, with the staging area, anyone arriving is going to be escorted. So that's number 1. So that's going to reduce traffic. The other thing now is that there's going to be a formal process of police details now. That'll be there. But they'll be in that area directing traffic.
Not on High Street. Not at High Street. That's not, it's not in front of my house. It's going to be the
Okay, I stand corrected.
Yeah, and so with the escort, it's going to go straight into the site. It won't happen. What's happening is they've been coming to that intersection of Highland Ave and High Street right here on this area. And what's been happening is, you and I know, they've been sitting there waiting to get into the site.
Right, and then also when they're coming from Winthrop, they can't make that left turn to the site, given the telephone pole and the construction there, so they go on my property to make the turn, or they have to pull down High Street and back up, with also added traffic there.
Yeah, so in terms of turning onto this, so as you see, at this intersection right here, there's a utility pole. Yes. The utility pole is about 5 feet behind the sidewalk. So all of that area is still technically within the town's right of way. Not to say what you're saying is
no, but what I'm saying is they have to make a wide turn because of that pole, which is then making it
correct.
That they can't. So they go to the right and then they back up onto the site.
And there's still over the sidewalk that really got done, and we have a sewer issue that might not be anything to do with that.
Yeah.
That compacted soil, but they're driving up off the road.
Yeah, so in terms of driving up off the road, technically where they're driving, because I was out there, I have witnessed it, it's still technically within the town's right of way.
Not on our side. We've taken video, we've taken footage, and they're actually tire prints from the snow of them going onto our property. Given the map that you sent me by.
Yeah, on the lawn, so, but I don't want to get into that part, but in the explain, so I agree with you, they do that, and they also turn up the High Street. So in this instance, I would say what they would probably do would be make this Winthrop Ave turn up to High Street and back into the site. But with the escort there's not going to be two vehicles.
No, there'll be an escort there that's having directed.
Yes, that's the whole point, is to make sure that there's an escort.
It's just better because, you know, you still have the traffic from the assisted living and then me trying to get.
Which, when we were up there, when that happened, the 2 trucks were sitting out there was someone trying to get up to Winthrop, out to the assisted living, so.
And then the police officer drove up and she couldn't even get down.
So, I do understand where you're coming from on that. That's why with this escort, they'll go straight into the site.
And all voting will be done on the site, because I know that there's been an issue with it loading
I'd
from
like to just
corner.
quickly address that. First of all, apologies, obviously, my car. If there's an issue with you getting out of your driveway, save a step. Just call me directly. I'll get direct contact with the site. We'll take care of it.
Are you on site?
I am on site certain days. I work for an office and manage several projects, so I'm not there every day, and I can certainly give you a contact with somebody that is there every day if you need to get direct contact or to get out of your driveway. Onyx is more than happy, whether it's in the right of way or on your lawn in the spring. We will restore the whole front of your yard there and make sure that it is representative of how it was before we arrived. We'll be happy to take care of that. Part of the logistical challenges with this job was actually the terrain within it. As you know, when you come off that, it just dove right off. Broke down to a much lower elevation, and it was very difficult to even get a pickup truck in there for access. So now that we've started to process some of the rock, crush it, and satisfy some of the fill areas up adjacent to the assisted living and start to kind of grade areas out, we've opened up now, or we're starting to open up enough flat area within the site to accommodate the trucks coming onto the site and doing whatever turning and moving around that they have to do, so they don't have to do it in the street. So initially, when we got to the site, it was like establishing a beachhead, right? It's like there's no real flat, straight access or a place to pull in and park vehicles. So now that we've had the benefit of being on site for a few weeks and getting some of the cuts and fills done, we've been able to establish some areas where we can now at least get those trucks in so that they can do whatever it is they got to do in the site. And that will tend to improve as we move through the site. Eventually, we'll be able to drive right through it. Go ahead.
Dispense with the entrance and the required, do that off the line. I don't see.
Yeah, you have questions after me? Whoa.
Let's not do that, please. There's no theatrics. He's just trying to be.
5 minutes.
Do you have any more questions or comments?
Well, I mean, the comment I have, I work in construction, I know things happen, and I kind of feel like, the blasters getting pretty big hit for this, and the third-party construction people with the traffic management, but I feel like, you're throwing up a lot to this a little bit too. I feel like kind of talking about it, you're just kind of passing off a little bit, and that's my sense of trust with this. I don't know, some open comment about it.
I'm sorry, so you feel you don't have trust?
No, I don't really have so much trust. I feel like, I don't know, I feel like it's sincere apologies on it. I feel like the third-party truckers aren't the reason for the traffic jams, and then you can't blame one blaster driller for, if you knew the site wasn't looking good, or the shots you're gonna do a little smaller. I just don't sincerely feel that's all on them. I don't know.
So I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah, and the mesh of the fence and the comment about, looking at the guys, I know this rub me the wrong way.
Okay.
Just so you know, it's an open public comment.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no, I understand.
Whatever you need.
I get it.
As we get closer to your property is going to turn into the closest property that we're blasting next to. At that point, the state is going to ask if we can set up a seismic map on the property.
We were already told about that, and we already gave permission, and they never came to do it.
Okay, so
This is-
you haven't been the closest. You haven't been the closest yet. Okay, is that your point right now?
We were told by the state marshal, though, when he came out, that there was going to be no more blasting near our house, that it was done blasting near our house. They were moving further away now. That was when he contacted me on Friday morning.
So who's right?
No, we'll just blast.
The blaster's right. I mean, they know what the schedule is.
He told me the good news was they weren't going to be blasting near our house anymore. They were moving further back.
I'm sorry, you don't know why he said that. I don't know why he said that, but he's wrong.
Do you have any more questions or comments? Excuse me. Anyone else would like to speak? Which one's first? The gentleman in the red shirt and the black jacket? That's you. Sorry, did I get the color wrong?
Jim Bernard, 20 should be at the meeting. First thing is, the size of this development, the location of this development, we shouldn't be talking about traffic. That should have been worked out from the very beginning. You knew the tight roads, you knew the curves, you knew there was very minimal access to get into this development. So I don't know what I blame the planning board. I think I blame the planning board because that should have been the first thing. It's not Onyx's fault. It's not the A1's fault. It's you guys. You should have known that that's a tight development. It's going to have criteria. It's going to have problems getting into it. And this is what we're dealing with right now when they've already started the project. I mean, that should have been talked about. So I think the blame's on you guys. And that's all. Next thing is either Onyx. I presume you guys are leaving all material on site. You're going to grind it and use everything on site. You're not hauling anything off.
Yes, sir. The site is balanced.
So you're going to be okay. So most of it will be all used on site to build the roads and everything. Okay. So they'll be trucking, taking stuff out to them, right?
No. There's no overage. The site is balanced.
Awesome.
We're doing everything in our power to, obviously, because of the concerns here, to make product on site and limit the amount of material, gravel materials we have to bring into the site. There are some components, perk sand, pipe bedding, things of that nature that we will have to import, but we are going to manufacture all of the gravels and fill materials on site, which, I know all of these processes are difficult to digest, but the alternatives of trucking in hundreds and hundreds of loads of fill is far worse than the alternative of using what's there and making best use of it.
Regarding the blast and the problem that happened with the blast that happened, I was at a job about 25 years ago. I seen what happened tonight. I know you can see what happened. So the mat was covered. It was a little bit bigger of an explosion than they did, and it happened. So I talked to a guy today. It happens 1 in a million times. It doesn't happen all the time. So it's just happened. You guys caught on to it. You got a great procedure. I mean, I live right down the street. We do hear the blasting, but it's fine. So. But I think the reason about being the first thing is I think we knew about the location of the site, and I think we should have knew the traffic was going to be tough getting in and out of there, and I think that should have been resolved. That doesn't fall in the fields. That doesn't fall on Onyx. I think that should have been resolved before we even started. So that's what I said. Thank you.
Thank you. Patrick Hughes, please.
Patrick Hughes, 27 Groton Harvard Road. I assume you can all hear me. It's my job site voice. All these issues I wrote about extensively. I have a deep background in large construction sites, blasting, traffic issues, and all of that. And I presented detailed information over many months submitted for the record to this planning board about all of these problems. And I'm liking what I'm hearing from the blasting company on how they're going to go forward with this. I'm not thrilled about it. I'm liking what I'm hearing about traffic and big trucks. That doesn't end when they stop. We have concrete trucks, we have pumpers, we have lumber deliveries, we have other trucks delivering stuff. This traffic thing is going to go on for several more years. What is going to be done to ensure that we don't continue to revisit these problems?
You just heard it.
I heard regards to this. I didn't hear this was continuing on with everything else that was going on.
When you say this, you're talking traffic?
Yes.
Okay, and your question is, what is going to be done about traffic? Is that the question?
My question is, what's going to be done after we're done with the blasting and site work, right, where we're still going on with large trucks? Because I don't hear any discussion that that's going to be monitored and dealt with.
Are you only handling the site work?
Yeah, we're the site contractor.
Concrete trucks.
So that would fall to
The fields.
The fields, concrete trucks. So then all of these protocols regarding roads and police details will be honored over the next several years?
Yes.
Yes, I'm not hearing that very
Yes, I'm hearing yes, and that's the difference.
Yeah,
Okay, that's now a public record.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, I think the decision as it relates to access to the site by construction vehicles carries through the life cycle of the permit. So, yes, once Onyx is gone, it's going to be up to whatever other contractors are taking over the actual home building to adhere to these same rules. Unfortunately, we get to be the ones to work the bugs out of it. But I'm hopeful that by the time we get to that point, that there's a well-established, well-signed route that the fields can take over.
Yes, I'm sure we'll be all monitoring it very well.
Ms. Neary?
Lauren Nearing, 35 Highland Avenue still. I had several different things that overlap a little bit with what people were previously saying. So, a couple of questions for you first. You can't hear me in the back?
No.
Okay, I'll try harder. Thank you. I do want people to hear. Let's see. I want to say that I appreciate your apology. I think it was sincere, and I think you want to do the right thing. I attended, as many of you know, a lot of the public hearings while we were proposing this. We had lots of concerns. We were told that this would not happen because you didn't want to lose your license or the blasting person didn't, but it did happen. And now we're under the understanding that it can happen. So let me ask a couple of clarifying questions first. You said you're going to reword your construction signs. Can you tell us what exactly those construction signs are going to be?
I can. Specifically, they read no delivery trucks. That's not verbatim, but it's almost exactly what they say. No deliveries or no delivery trucks with an Onyx logo underneath it. Again, we had to put some thought into those signs and make sure that we weren't going to be shutting the residents in the neighborhood down from having their landscapers come to their house or, Amazon trucks or anything like that. So signage can be sometimes difficult because you don't want it to be overly restricted. But with adding the Onyx verbiage to it, people are going to have, that's what they're going to have on their delivery slips, is that it's coming to Onyx. So we wanted the sign to match what's going to be on those delivery tickets.
So the current orange signs will be taken down and where they're they'll be replaced with these new signs?
I don't know that we're going to remove those. I think we're just going to add. So
because one of them is at the bottom of Washington, at the bottom of Highland and Washington. So that one has to go because that corner is not working.
Right. So that is still going to be the approved truck route for smaller trucks, six-wheelers, freight trucks, tractor trailers, and large oversized deliveries are going to have to use that new alternate route. And that one will be signed no deliveries too. The only difference is that those big deliveries are going to now get an escort.
Yeah.
So when they get the escort, the sign will, the driver of the escort vehicle will take them through that area.
And so the plan is that everything will be scheduled so that there won't be any duplication of people being at these big trucks being at the same place at the same time, thereby blocking the neighbors.
Well, exactly. So the staging area also gives us an ability to throttle how many trucks are in the site at a time. If the site is tied up and, there's 3 or 4 trucks in there already, we'll hold those people back in the staging area until such a time that we can accommodate them without causing a traffic issue.
Okay. That sounds interesting. Is the pile of deep snow impacting your drivers and being able to turn the corners?
Yes.
I know it's a bad problem. I live on the corner of Highland and Winthrop, and the snow is piled way up over my head from clearing the roads.
It adds a definite degree of difficulty. Even in mounting these signs, we're trying to figure out, who draws the short straw and gets to climb the snowbanks and hang the sign. So, yeah, they definitely add a degree. A lot of times we would just put a sign stand out in the street, just a metal sign stand. With these snowbanks, we don't have that option. We've got to get them up and off the road so they're not plowing.
Mike, do you anticipate there might be some problems if this snow continues, that you have to cancel or postpone certain deliveries that you had planned?
We work outside and we're always cognizant of the weather and try to make sure that we're not doing anything, where the town's trying to do snow removal exercises or something where we're bringing large pieces of equipment into the site. That's definitely something we take in mind. Some of the deliveries that we do take are very long lead time items that come from reasonably far away. So, if we order something that's coming out of the middle of the country and it's coming by truck, once that ship sails, it's on the road and we have to make accommodations to receive it. So we'll do the best we can operationally to manage the volume of trucks on site and try to limit it so that it doesn't become an issue out front there.
By the way, folks in the back, are you able to hear? He's not, okay. I can hear you great because I'm facing you now.
Good.
Thanks. Okay. You mentioned, or somebody mentioned that you've been measuring ground vibration, it was you mentioned ground vibration and air vibration. Could you describe how that works? Is that your equipment doing those measurements? Is it state equipment?
Yeah, so it is our equipment. Our equipment is certified once a year. It has to go up, get tested. After we blast, the fire department comes up, they check our reading results, so there's no, once it records an event, it's recorded. There's no erasing it, there's no tweaking it around, there's none of that. And again, I go back to, we're not just monitored by local, we are also monitored by the federal government too. So all our paperwork is reviewed, not just locally, but also state and federal. So we're going to enter into 3 pretty big standard federal governments on this. So there's, people say, well, it's your machine. Well, there's calibration laws. Like, you'll look at our machine, you'll make sure it's been calibrated within the year, and then it's calibrated right, it works right. And there's tests we can do before we set those up. To make sure.
So I'm familiar with other scientific equipment, but not this. And so you're saying it's probably calibrated and you're confident that it was measuring correctly.
Yeah.
It's the same machine you were using throughout all the blasting?
It could be the same machine. We have probably 15, 18 machines that we use through the company. So, depending on this day, he, as a blaster, he carries his own equipment. So he's responsible. So it's not like 3 people are handling the machines. The blaster himself is responsible for it.
Was part of the review of this problem that happened for that 19th blast to check that monitor to make sure it was calibrated correctly?
Yes, they went through everything. So they went back and looked at everything. The state went back and went through all our previous shots, all our records. They started right from the beginning on this job.
And just exploring that 19th blast that caused the problem, if we looked at the monitoring data and the number of mats and the depth and the amount of the explosion, all those specific things, you indicated before that they were pretty similar?
Yes.
And this was just a fluke location that had a weird geological feature?
We're feeling with that weathered ground, that big, it was like a peninsula that was sticking up, that was very weathered compared to the rest of the rock that was there that was very solid. And again, this was the only outcroppings that we'd see. So what we felt is that weathered rock didn't stay in tight, so when the mats moved off, it moved kind of backwards.
Have you seen that kind of weathered rock before?
We have, yes, we have.
It's never done something like that?
No.
And how many layers of mats did you use?
We have up to 30 mats on site.
How many were on top of the blaster?
That blast area, we used all our mats.
30 mats. And you have to replace them every time, right?
No, they're reusable.
Tim, would you mind just explaining to people that don't understand what a mat is and what it's made out of, just so?
They're measured out by sizes. They're 10 feet wide, 20 feet long.
10 by 20, and we got 12 by 24s.
Yeah, so we got bigger mats up there, 12 by 24 that are heavier mats too that we use in certain areas as we're doing blasting throughout the site. They're cabled through with rubber tires. They're old rubber tires that they cut up, and they weave a cable through the tires so it keeps it all compacted. So it's like a big, thick, heavy blanket. Each mat weighs about 6,000 pounds. So you throw 30 mats and you put a lot of weight on the blanket.
Okay, so you have heavy equipment that has to move those mats.
Yeah, we set the mats at their direction, for them with our excavators.
Okay. Okay, so it sounds like you did the best you could under the circumstance to set everything the way it had been going smoothly. This is the one that was closest to the house.
So far, yes.
And you have to keep going. Wow, okay. So to share with everybody, I have a copy of the video that Janelle and Aaron took, and they let me have a copy of it so that I was able to slow it down and take a frame-by-frame shot of it. And so I can see the blast, and it is just what Janelle said, it is not like a single rock. It is a huge blast, and with their permission, I'd be happy to share it, with many, many rocks coming out toward their house. You didn't see the picture of the damage that happened to their shed, but it's pretty substantial. I think it's higher than 6 feet, so I would suggest that you work with the abutters to see if they want a fence that's higher than 6 feet to make sure they're well protected, if that's the policy that, the procedure you want to follow. So I live, as I mentioned, on the opposite corner, and I happened to be home during that particular blast, and my windows were shaking. My house was quite loud, and I lived pretty far away. So something felt different. The other blast did not feel like that one. So maybe because it was closer, but it just didn't feel right. And then I just happened to see Janelle right after. So it was scary. It was really frightening. And if you live right there, you'd be scared too.
I was right in front when it happened, so me and Heather had to kind of run for cover, so
yeah.
I know how scary it was.
Yeah, so definitely shouldn't happen again. Let's see. I think that might be.
We got other people waiting on us.
People waiting on mine. Yeah, my last point is kind of what Patrick was alluding to, which is we had many, many conversations over many hours about how careful everything was going to go and how many samples you had taken. And we were led to feel confident that you knew the geology and the layers, and you knew what you were in for. But this makes us feel like maybe you don't. I mean, you're just kind of explaining how steep everything was, and how it wasn't really what you expected. I don't know why.
It wasn't that not what we expected. It's just proven to be a difficult site to access with the equipment. Until we get established and get some grading done, it's a challenging site from an access perspective, I say that.
And we said over and over again, this is a really hard site.
We know that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, can I clarify a couple of things too? Lori brought up the seismograph readings. So our fire detail that's there, they get a copy of each blast and the copy of the reading. And just so you know, we take this serious. I know one day, I don't know the day it was, I got a couple emails, I think Danny did as well. They felt the ground vibration was too much. It was still within the limits. We took that reading, the fire prevention lieutenant emailed it to the state, and they confirmed that it was well within the guidelines. So we do listen to you. I don't want you to think, because I think that particular day I said, well, there was a lot more emails and even phone calls generated. So when something like that does happen, we do listen to you. If I'm not copying on it, Danny might pass it along, or, if we thought something was wrong, the detail said, no, the blast went well, but we still, got that one particular one, and I think we pushed that out by email too to the person who asked. So we do listen to you if, if something like that does come up as well. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Chief. Yes, the gentleman, you sir, with the glasses. Excuse me. You don't have the floor. The gentleman with the glasses has the floor. Yeah, come on up.
Good evening. Kurt Fraskowski, 39 Groton Harbor Road. One thing I have noticed is, and actually I pulled it up on the town's website, there was the blasting notices, and we received at our house a flyer saying there was going to be 3 horns or something like that. Now I realize that I'm down at 39 Groton Harbor Road, which is at the bottom. So I'd never heard any of those horns. And actually I did drive up to the site the first day, and it was explained that those horns were to be, are for the site, so people on the site, and I would assume in the immediate area would be able to hear, so that there should be a horn, a series of horns going off before each blast to notify the workers on site that a blast is going off. And what I'm hearing is that should the abutters be able to hear that warning go off also? In other words, the horns going off. So I'm just not sure of that, but I think that might be good.
Yeah, so I know this was actually something that was raised to me early on in construction, the blasting occurring. I actually was on site with the chair and I took a video of it. So if you are anywhere within the vicinity of the site, you can hear it. And I understand some people, if you live specifically like over here, you're not going to hear it because it's on the other side of the building. These are for the immediate site and people within the vicinity of the site.
Cannot hear it inside my house, and I'm directly next to it.
So I have recordings. I have shown them at planning board hearings. You can see it. If you're outside, you can hear it very loudly. These are not for the residents that are further out around the site. It's for the actual site, for people on site, so they know that a blast is going to occur for safety reasons, so that they can let people, the people on site know when a blast is going to occur, and they have a series of them. Can you clarify on the?
Yeah, 5 minutes. This is 3.
So if you could get up and just turn on, explain the siren sequence, please.
The siren sequence is at the 5-minute warning, we give 3 long horns, which you will verify, videos will verify we do. At the 1-minute mark, there's 2 shorter horns. And then when it's all clear, we usually have a guy down on Harvard Run, and he tells me he can barely hear the horns, but he's all the way down the bottom of the easement. But at that, we are letting everyone in the immediate area know. And after the 1 minute, we detonate the shot. We go check the shot out. We blow 1 all clear, saying it's all over.
So just one follow-up question. So with 29 High Street being, obviously, we know now from experience within the zone, is 29 High Street able to hear that warning shot?
I cannot hear it in my house. I happened to be outside at the time of the blast and heard it and ran in because of the dogs. And so I heard the blast from outside in my front yard, but I cannot hear it when I'm in the house. And I would like to hear it from inside my house so I can take cover.
Would that be something that might be considered as considering that they're right there? Someone on site could give them an extra heads up.
Right now, I'm giving 2 buildings a heads up right before the shot. The assisted living, obviously, for obvious reasons. I'm in contact with a guy in there.
Okay.
And there's one other lady at the Barn Rotten. I can't do it for everybody. It's a courtesy what I'm doing now. But if she would like one, I can give her, I'll put a group text with up 3.
Okay, because
right before the shot.
Yeah, because this is where we're going to put the fence up. So I mean, obviously, that would be that. I think that would be.
If she's willing to accept that, I can put that on a group text and we can get it out.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Janet?
Janet Rodriguez, 1 Relay in the Court. I just want to follow up all this. Is there any chance to get a louder horn? I mean, it's like I can hear the trains perfectly. Okay, so with that.
And taps.
That's right. Pardon? Oh, and taps and dentist. All right, so we can hear that. So is there a way just to get a louder horn?
What we're probably going to do is we're going to set up a call list. What we'll probably end up doing is we're going to set up a call list, and you can leave your email address, a name, a phone number, and we will call you within 24 hours of the blast and give you an estimated.
We do that now.
Yeah, you do that. Yeah, you get me. That's between 9 and 3. If you could use that same.
I can't bring a chain whistle to the middle of it.
Not a train, but you know what I mean.
I really have a Pacific blasted whistle.
Yeah, it's an air horn.
No, it's not.
Oh, that's what it sounds like.
120 some odd, that's what it says. What we can do is maybe get a second one, I always have a gentleman down the end of the easement, run, maybe we could blow them simultaneously on both ends, that might help.
But also too, I think the, the text chain, because again, I know that there's one going to be happening.
But it sounds like there are, the best way to do.
Yeah, you do it the day before, but if you can do it,
I mean,
it's just because when.
I will say, when they're prepping for a blast, and actually you have charges in a hole, another step in that procedure is, I can see being distracted by having to send a text message there and potentially missing a step in his procedure.
No, we don't want that.
I would much rather he concentrate on what he's got in his hands, and we certainly would be willing to work with Danny and the planning board if there's anything additional we can do to give better warning to the immediate abutters, either with an additional horn or a louder horn. It's kind of a double-edged sword too. Some people would not like to hear it all the time.
All right.
Good?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, Lord?
If, and I'm sure this is not going to happen again, but if we do have another incident, which I don't think is quite the best word to use, who pays for damages?
So that would be on the insurance company of the blasting subcontractor. So they would put you in
So that's
contact with the insurance
someone in this first row?
Yeah, so we're fully insured.
Okay.
And the insurance company handles it. We have to carry a certain amount of insurance to be able to get a federal license.
Okay, great. And I don't want to belabor this air horn. It's not called an air horn. The siren, the warning siren. But do you have some kind of time frame during the day? I know I get the texts, and it says there's going to be a blast between 9 and 3. So I assume, and maybe I shouldn't, that you're there and you're thinking, you're looking at, you're watching, and all the thousands of things you have to do to prepare for the blast. Do you have in your head that it's going to be at 10:30 or at some time? I'm getting a text, but
Maybe we can just, like that, maybe I can call me and just send it over.
I'm just wondering if, since you have some kind of time frame that you work on, and I understand you don't want to add another piece of work to do 5 minutes before the blast, but if you know that the blast is going to take place at 10:30, can you set up a text at 9 a.m. to go out at 10:25 or something like that? I'm just throwing that out there. I know the technology is there to do something like that. I totally understand that you have a lot of other things that are very critical to making this a successful.
Me as a blaster on site, I could not do it. Personally. Not people. If somebody else knew one time, maybe.
Having the blaster on the site, part of his responsibility is really making sure he's concentrating on the sites, making sure everything's safe on the site. So they're getting texts. You're getting texts. Is that coming through us, John?
I believe so. The day before, the text, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So what we can do is I can talk to my office, and maybe we can give you an hour heads up. There's so many things, again, my blasters focus on. There's, you got elements of the weather, you got people on the construction job, you got explosives there that we have to keep people away from. There's so many things that my blaster's tied up in. So I will definitely put on the list that we can start texting an hour before the blast.
Could I just ask the chief, the fire detail that you have on site, does he have a fire department vehicle with a siren or a horn?
Yeah, so we try to have a fire department vehicle. Sometimes if it gets skinny on them, they might have their own personal vehicle, but we try to have a...
I know we can get your everyone.
Yeah, there is a siren in that one, but like I said, that's not always the case. Couldn't hear you. Yeah, so they've been private vehicles, I said, which is acceptable on our end as well.
What about children and pets on site when they're blasting?
I don't know what you said.
I said children and pets being present on site when they're blasting. On the
be.
actual site.
That's up to the blaster.
Correct, falls to the blaster.
That's
Yep.
it.
Lori, did you have another question?
Yeah, there were a couple people that spoke out of turn, but I just would encourage them to come up and
Yes, I'll take care of that.
say their spiel.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next person, the gentleman in the black, yes, sir, you. Yep, you're next.
How you doing? Anthony Flynn, 35 Groton Harvard Road. We're right across from the new big vehicle thing. Unfortunately, the issue I have is when we purchased this 3 years ago, and a lot of people like to drive on the front of our lawn or whatever. So I put some rocks on there, and for this last big behemoth that came off, I know it's five, but still, my wife doesn't. It's still grass and it's still on the front, and if we have big trout, because big tracks on it and mud and all that stuff instead of grass, it doesn't really bode well with the kumbaya in the family. So
I think he did say he'd be willing to fix this.
Yes. Because, I mean, there was snow and all that stuff, probably some of the rocks went down. I know that it hit a big branch and that came down, so we just want, if once you go, if you can keep it from destroying our grass, it would be great.
I'd be happy to give you a copy as long as it's not disingenuous.
Oh, no.
You can call and we'd be happy to have our landscape commission come out and fix the front lawn.
I can also send you his email so you can
Okay, yeah, I mean, we're new into this and all that stuff. We just want to make sure that our grass grows.
We really don't want to make your property any different than it was, and, it's difficult to do it, obviously, this time of year. If it was the spring, we'd take care of it same day, but, when the spring rolls around, no problem. We'll spread some loam or some rocks or whatever you had there and put it back to its original.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir, the gentleman in the far back.
Just a clarifying question. My name is Brian O'Neill. I'm at 47 Highland Avenue. And to this issue about the right-of-way, I don't know if it's factually correct that although it might be town-owned land, that you can drive on. So could you clarify if the town owns, but it's lawn, it doesn't seem you should be driving on it, is the point?
Yeah, so to clarify, what I mean by that is I do understand that they're still driving on there and they would be responsible for replacing that lawn. Most people understand their property to go right to the edge of the road, which to the edge of the pavement or the curbing, but under the law and under property ownership, it actually goes to the edge of the town's right of way. But that's just kind of more, I was just trying to clarify the differences. They would still be responsible for clearing, for putting that back to normal.
Let's turn to Catherine.
Oh wait, no, I see.
There's a gentleman in the gray hat first. He wanted to talk earlier, then she'll come next.
Sorry. Yeah, 60 Central Avenue, behind that. I just want to know, if we could have like you mentioned, it's some test done about the vibration, because we are having huge kind of a shakes, half a 3-story places, and we are seeing now some cracks on the drywall, nothing very huge, but with, you guys mentioned there's going to be 27 more days on that. Probably you guys already talked about this in the previous meetings, but I don't have that information, how we could manage that kind of claims, and if we could have access to the vibration test.
So the procedure on this, if you believe there's damage getting done to your home, you have to go to the fire department and fill out what they call a damage complaint form, and that will get submitted to the state. Then the state will submit that back to our insurance company, and our insurance company will get in contact. Again, I got to press on that, you know, a blast is like dropping a rock in a pond. Where's the biggest splash? It's right where the rock hits, and it gets slower, the waves get different on the way up. So, you know, that's why they say everyone within 250 feet has to get a pre-blast survey done, because if there's going to be damage on the site, it's going to happen to the closest vendors. But if you, I can't sit here and tell you you're not getting, I'm not going to get myself in that situation. There's procedures for that affect us and you. So if you truly believe there's damage getting done, it's a form you have to fill out, and then it goes to the state. Through the fire department.
You have a pre-blast survey?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, you had a pre-blast survey?
Yes, we did.
Oh, okay, so then they...
So same thing, even if you had, that's why I'm addressing everybody on this.
Where's the property?
It's this one right here.
One of the new condos.
It's the condos, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that one, it was on your list of the
Especially the third floor checks.
Yeah.
We have the first one partially under the ground, and the third is where we go feel it most.
Okay.
That's it.
Good, thank you. Yeah, in the far back? Yes. It's Rachel. Oh, I didn't recognize it, sorry.
Hello, Rachel Kozera, 30 Groton Harvard Road. I just had a question with regard to the new drilling patterns that you all are going to integrate. Are there are there different types of challenges that we might face with regard to, I guess, the different rock types and that type of drilling? Will that affect the land and the surrounding land in a different way that we typically haven't experienced, or?
The vibrations might last a little, vibrations might last a little bit longer because we're not going as deep, we're taking longer shots, so you might feel a little bit different, it might feel a little bit longer, but the percussion of the wave is not going to change.
Okay.
So we design our shots again to that closest house. So as we get closer to that house, we have to reduce the shot. We might have to reduce the pattern, we might have to reduce the shot size, we might have to reduce the hole. It all depends on where we're working and how close we are.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much. And I apologize if Juliet has already mentioned this, but just with everything that's occurred, when the blasting does move closer, in that channel potentially, what provisions, are there provisions that you have in mind with regard to protection, or, will there be different things like?
I'm assuming you mean in the easement?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, so the blasting protocols that we used up to date, as Tim explained, are up to code, and we've revised these blasting plans and the protocols for protecting the shots to beyond what's required by quite a bit to mitigate any risk that we can possibly physically mitigate. So I think by reducing and changing the shape and the size of the blast, and then ensuring that there's a minimum of a 3-foot overlap from one mat onto the other, instead of mats getting butted tight to each other, if that makes sense. It's almost like weaving a quilt rather than just laying them all out flat. By doing that, we're really increasing the chances that the energy from that shot is going to stay in the ground and not leave the blast area.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you.
And kind of back to Tim's point, and just the way these blast is not like you just light a fuse and all of the explosives go off at the exact same time. There's microsecond delays, right? So when he hits the button, the first shot, second shot, microseconds apart, but that shot is designed to dissipate the energy towards the relief created by the previous blast. Okay. Does that make sense?
It does.
So when you blast one spot, you create an area of relief for the next blast to move into when it changes shape and moves. So that blast is, the energy from that blast and the delay in the individual caps is what pushes that rock in the direction that they intend to push it.
Okay. Interesting, thank you. I just had a quick question. I know you all have only been up to the site just minimally. Just with all the snow that's occurred, I was just wondering, are there any like giant piles of snow that might potentially melt? You know, if you have like a big day where it's like pretty warm out. It's just, I just mentioned it just because there's a lot of things up in the air with regard to this. And so I just didn't know if any modifications needed to be made or if there's anything like that that needs to be tending to.
So I think you get to an erosion control question.
I suppose, yeah.
As far as, you know, as the snow melts, are we prepared to deal with the influx of meltwater off of the site? And the answer is yes. We've actually, one of the first things we built on the site is a temporary sediment basin. And we've created grading to force all that water into that temporary sediment basin. And then on top of that, we've got erosion controls, straw wattle and silt fence installed. That straw wattle and silt fence is inspected with a stormwater report that's done every 2 weeks and submitted to the Board of Health, to the Conservation Commission in town. So when we installed that originally, the Conservation Commission comes out, inspects the erosion controls, make sure they were installed properly, and then it's our duty to inspect that every 2 weeks, take pictures, and make repairs to any areas that might need them. Also, if we identify an area where we've changed some grading and there could potentially be an influx of stormwater that could exit an area, we will take further steps to prevent that area, whether it be with, you know, crushed stone to keep the erosion from happening and filtering the water and all that. So great deal of work goes into erosion control.
Wonderful, thank you. And so even with all of the subsequent snow, you're still able to see all of the items to be checked?
Yes, so to answer your question, the snow does make it difficult to do inspections, but it also acts as a buffer to what's already there. So when the snow is there, we're up against that silt fence, and there's really no opportunity for it to get damaged. If we're working, you know, in the spring, and the guys are working right along a limit of clearing or erosion control limit, and you know, an excavator drives over the wattle, that's something that we repair immediately right there. So the SWIP inspections are ongoing despite the weather. We go out there in muck boots and walk the silt fence line and make sure that there's no holes.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
No problem.
And just to touch, those reports are sent to myself, to Heather, and as well as to Matt, and those reports are reviewed by myself and Heather. And those reports have to be on site as well as in case the state wants to look at them as well.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you. And then I had a question about the blast records. I touched upon it with Danny at one point in time, and so I just didn't know what the process was. Are they available online with the fire department, or do we need to call and request them, or I was wondering if you would mind speaking to that, or just because I didn't know.
Yeah, we have a public record of it, so if you want a copy of it, you can come down and we can copy it or email it to you, whichever. Yeah.
Just in case I didn't.
Yeah, we get them daily, as you know, the fire detail brings them back.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. All right. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Robert,
Mr. Chairman, members of the Planning Board, and everybody, thank you. Robert Poprian, the Ayer Town Manager. And if I may, Mr. Chair, just first offer sincere apologies on the acoustics and the audio-visual. The good news is thanks to the voters, the funding has been approved to make this space more viable for meetings. So it is coming. It should have long time coming, but I do apologize, but do appreciate everybody's patience tonight. I don't want to belabor a lot of the things that have been said because I know it's late. But as the town manager, I want to stress that the most important thing we do as a town is safety. That's the most important thing. Now, in life, unfortunately, I wish there could be 100% guarantee that there would never be a traffic accident, there would never be a fire, there would never be a flood. We all want that, and we strive to keep people safe. So in this instance, once it happened, we do take it very serious, and things went into motion. And I do appreciate the fields, and I do appreciate Onyx and A1 blasting. The minute this incident happened, the state responded, as did the town. I appreciate them putting together a plan. I appreciate them being here, as we required that through the planning board. We're not going to relitigate the project, as the chair said, but your elected planning board did its job through, we can disagree on that, but it's gone through site plan review. The assurance that I want to give you is that moving forward, we take the seriousness of safety 100%. And we have to be very thankful that last Thursday nobody was hurt, nobody was killed, and I stress this to the fields and to Onyx and to A1. I want you to know that the select board is well aware of this project. They're represented here tonight by the chairman, Selectman Livingston. They have concerns on the safety. I did too. To conclude, I think the key thing is the silver lining, we always have to look for a silver lining, is this community involvement and the community concerns. And all of your people are here that are concerned for your safety. I just want to point out, you've heard from both of the chiefs. Deputy Fire Chief Janiskevich is in the back, the DPW Director Dan Van Shalwick, and the Town Engineer Matt Hernan. The Building Commissioner Mike Wallace is here, the Assistant Town Manager Carly Antonellis. There are representatives here from the Select Board, Conservation, and Zoning Board of Appeals. Now, if we had a time machine, perhaps we'd do some things different. Perhaps we could do something maybe we couldn't on Thursday. Thursday happened. But moving forward, I think the most important thing is that we continue to work together on this to make sure everybody's safe. If you are not getting information or you have questions that are not being answered, that doesn't mean we might agree or disagree on the answer, but if the town is not being responsive, you need to let me know. Danny's new full-time job is this. Every day, he's the town's point person on that, as is everybody else. So communication is key. We want you to have the information. We do hear your concerns. Who wouldn't be terrified when that happened? I think anybody would agree that. And I think all of us, if you ask any of us, nobody wants a construction site in their backyard. So I just want to again stress that safety is the most important. I believe that all parties are committed with this plan to move forward, to maximize that this doesn't happen again. And this will continue through all phases of the project that was brought up as far as safety, as the project changes, as we move forward. We are committed to that and will continue to be. So I really appreciate everybody's time. I don't want to belabor it. I know other folks want to weigh in. But if you're not getting information, if you're not being responded to, first office on the right, you let Carly or I know. The select board is fully aware, the planning board, and we will continue to work with all parties as we move forward. And again, you are heard, understand the anxiety, understand the frustration, and we want to make sure that we keep everybody safe to the best of our ability as we move forward. So I appreciate your participation tonight. This is not necessarily a one and done thing. We will continue to work with everybody as we move through this process. Mr. Chairman, I appreciate the time. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the hall who'd like to speak? I'm sorry, you see your hand? Yes, come on up, please.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm Andrew Fontaine. We live at 31 William Street. We're at the bottom of the hill.
site and where 250 feet is?
I emailed you that map, Dan. I think I did.
I don't know if I have it on.
At the end of the knowledge.
So we're at the bottom of the hill on the other side of where most of the people here are. And I have to say, I'm really surprised at the amount of shaking that goes on at our house after the blast. And I think that's the concern for most of us. It's almost like an after effect of the blast.
It's just lovely. All right. So this is. It's a big file, so it takes a little bit. Yeah, there you go. We should have. So you're saying your property's right over here? Is that what it is?
The last house on William Street. Yeah, we're the last house on William Street. So it's a dead end that comes down the hill, and we're at the very bottom of it.
You're behind us.
Right down here?
Yes.
Yes.
You're behind us.
Okay, so that's right down this way.
Yeah, so I'm surprised we're outside of this zone because I feel like we're closer than this. So the point that you had made about giving us the option to have this, because I can tell you, we spent a lot of money putting a pool in that has a glass fence, and I can feel my whole house shaking, but I'm wondering what's going to happen after this.
Yeah.
And that's my only, I would like to know like how really close I am, because I don't believe this circle is accurate.
So based on the drawings, so based on the actual AutoCAD, these are 250 foot from the center of the blast area.
So that was my question. So that's the center of the blast is 250 feet out. So as they blast further out, this ripple effect gets further out. Is that right?
No, so that takes into account all of the blast areas. So these big 250 foot radiuses are for the center blast in like this area, and this area, and this area, and all these areas. So these are the widest points from the 250 feet.
Okay.
So if for some reason ledge goes further than what
And
was
ledge does
anticipated?
go further because this interesting thing that you talked about, our whole hill is ledge. So it's really interesting that you're talking about just the top because the whole hill is a solid sheet of ledge.
So if we move in that direction and we decide that these concentric rings no longer meet what we originally proposed, then, and this happened just in the easement, where we had to say, all right, we are not approved to blast into that easement. We have to now back up, resurvey what we have to, if we have to offer additional pre-blast surveys, and go back to the town and basically put in a request to change the blast area. So if we do get within 250 feet of your house, and before we even get there, after what happened, like Tim and I said earlier, we'll get together and we'll decide if we can do something a little bit more robust.
Can I pay to have my own survey? Because
You certainly
honestly-
can, but
Yeah.
before we get to that point, give me till Tuesday, Monday being a holiday, and I'll get in touch with Danny and let him know, if Tim and I work out that we're able to offer some more surveys, we'll do that.
Because I agree that with what he's saying over here, at the bottom of the hill, we're really feeling it.
Yeah.
So I work from home a couple days a week, and my whole house is shaking. So, I mean, it like shocks you how shaking it is.
Right.
Like you come around the corner and somebody startles you, surprise. So I want to know like that as this gets further in, and you're going, how far down, 16 feet?
Not in the area where you are, where we talk
Well,
about.
I know not near where I am, but
Keep
as you're blasting down 16 feet, those ripple effects, we're really going to start feeling them.
I put out a secondary seismogram for the blast, so, and that one, I can put it like, if you let me.
Yeah, I will. I'd love it. Come over. Okay, that was it. Thank you. And thank you for the emails. I really appreciate it. 31 Williams.
Do you want to copy?
He's been great about sending emails, so I'm good with that. Thank you for hearing me.
Thank you. Mike?
Hi, Mike Wells, Building Commissioner. I just wanted to address 60 Central Ave and the woman who just spoke. If there's any structural issues or anything like that, just call me immediately or directly, and I'll come out immediately and we'll check it out. I mean, aside from drywall cracks and stuff like that, but if there's anything serious, just give me a call and I'll come out right then and there, or as soon as I can. But anything dangerous, anything you mentioned tempered glass around your pool.
Yeah.
In our case, I don't know if the tiles gonna come off, but you can see how they are gonna start to have the spaces.
Yeah, I mean, I
So it's
just
not like, probably nobody's gonna get hurt. We are gonna have more than 27 days of blastings.
yeah, we'll just keep in the loop. Don't be afraid to reach out if there's any issues.
Yeah, that's what that fall back to. Again, if you're feeling that you're having damage done, please go, there are procedures. You know, I can't have someone a mile from here call the fire department and say they just knocked the wall down, you know. If we start doing all that, we will be Pandora's box. So there are procedures that we do, you know, protect yourselves. Is there procedures we have to do as we get closer that protects you, but there's also procedures that protect the community too. So you feel if there's truly damage going on, fill out a damage complaint form. It's a final record, so the insurance companies will be out.
Thank you. Yes, sir, come on up.
Norman Buck, 58 Central. I'll reinforce that this is really shaking all the houses around here. I know you say you're within the limits, but we're shaking houses right next to Caesar who's had the damage. And I'm seeing it, our dog run line is sagging, so the trees are actually moving on the hill. So, not measurable, but this definitely is causing damage around here. And of the 3 projects around us, 48 Central, 60 Central, and this one, I know 2 of them have fly rock now. You guys had 48 Central, so it's just something that happened with plastic. I know it's not you, but it's, just want to put it on record that it's happening. And you're definitely shifting terrain. But, thank you.
Yes, I believe Catherine, yes, Catherine. You can unmute yourself.
Yeah, hi, everybody. I apologize if I say something or ask a question that was answered. It is just a little bit difficult to be audio over Zoom. It's a little bit hard. So, my name is Catherine, attorney at Groton Harvard Road. Kind of as a blanket thing, I found out I had tenants in my home, and they told me that they do not hear the warning horns. And so I know that there was somewhat of a discussion about that, and I would just like to second if there is some way that those can be further, spread out or something. I think in the planning board meetings, initially when this was discussed, I certainly didn't understand that those horns were specifically designed or meant for only people on site or predominantly people on site. My understanding was that it was meant to kind of notify we always kind of talked about abutters, but notify, abutters and people close by, not just on site. So I second if there's any sort of way that there can be an additional horn or the direction of the horns or something along those lines, which would just get a little bit more notice. I also was surprised when we were starting to get the text notifications about the blasting and that the time period was like 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. would be the blast. I think maybe the first notification we got was relatively close in time. It was a smaller time period. And after that, it seemed to be the whole day. Again, I do not feel that that was the intention of or what we expected would be what that type of notification would be. I was expecting that it would be within a couple of hours, you know, like a notification would go out at 9 a.m. for glass that would be happening at 11. So if there's any way that that can be expanded upon, I second it. I know there was some conversation about that as well. And so in connection with the, you know, blast notification and the warnings that, you know, my tenants can't hear, is it safe for them to be out in their backyard during the time period of the blasting?
Yes. Yes, it is safe for you to be outside in the yard blasting. If we're blasting that close to your house, where we feel a concern that, you know, just out of a safety issue, if we're really close, we might ask you to stay in your house during the blast. We generally don't, because again, if we're blasting that close to your house, we've designed the shots to be a lot smaller. You know, again, the closer we get to the homes, the smaller the blasts are designed. And that's always been practiced even before the incident. What we did 300 feet from your house, we're not going to do the same thing when we're 200 feet. We're not going to do the same thing when we're 100 feet. That's all the design.
Okay.
Yeah, if we get within the 250-foot radius, then we will definitely reimburse you for your pre-blast survey, but we're still going to have to do our own.
I'm not sure I understand. My property is in the bottom right corner, I guess, of the map that always keeps coming up that we look at. Based on that, it was not in the 250. In my view of it, it was like just outside, maybe in 300 or 350 feet. So I just thought it was prudent for me to get it. What I'm saying is that if the zone that y'all are getting pre-blast surveys, or I guess now mid-blast surveys done, is expanded because of either for whatever reason, because the planning board decides that that's something that needs to be done, because Onyx and A1 decides that they're going to offer that, or because the plan for blasting changes such that my property or other property, I guess, are included. I already have had one done, so I don't know that I need to come out and do another one, but I would like to be able to be reimbursed if it would otherwise have been a free thing. 'Cause it was like $400. I mean, it wasn't nothing to get done.
Yes. Just for clarification.
I'm not asking you like to confirm or
She's
not putting it out there, just so I know that.
Clarification.
Catherine, sorry, one of the board members was talking, so he's asking a clarifying question. 1 second, sorry.
Okay.
Excuse me. Haven't you in fact started blasting at the lowest section towards the Groton Harvard Road, and you're moving up the hill?
Up the hill, but we've broken the project up into parts. So we're still working down at the bottom of the hill, and we're working up the top. Yeah, still work to be done in the easement.
Yeah, the easement, I know.
Yeah, that's it. But then we're still working on the lower section of the hill. We kind of broke it up because we can't do one big blast a day. We're doing multiple small blasts. So
But you're still working in several areas.
areas of the site. Yes.
What's the woman's name, I'm sorry?
Catherine.
Catherine, to answer your question a little more directly, if you do fall within the zone where you would be offered a free pre-blast survey, we will certainly reimburse you for what you've spent on your own pre-blast survey. Just bear in mind, we're going to have to do another pre-blast because, you know, that those pre-blast surveys go through A1's insurance provider, and they want their own surveyor to do the surveys, if that makes sense.
It does, just for clarification, I did use the surveyor that you guys.
Oh, you did? Oh, great. Very easy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no.
I think I emailed you on this one, yeah? Okay.
Probably, yeah. It was right after that last week, sometime in December, I guess.
Yeah, then your survey that you've had done should be acceptable to A1 to move us forward, so thank you for that.
Yeah. I want to just be clear, when y'all are talking about the easement that you're maybe adding blasting in, we're not talking about the one, it's okay, it's that one over there, not that little tiny.
Yeah, no, this is
driveway easement that.
Yeah, no, that's the right right-of-way that serves your house and the Cozera household. That's not in there.
I was gonna say, I was like, that is a very narrow space. I do not know that should be blasted. Okay, let me just look at my notes. I guess like, as a general comment, I am gonna second some of the frustrations that it does feel like some of the things that are being brought up are things that I feel like were very easily anticipated, and it's a little bit frustrating to not, this is not the rock flying stuff, I understand the component of that, but with the traffic and the not having the space to get the vehicles and stuff, it does feel like that is something that was anticipated, could have been anticipated, and was brought up and discussed, and so it is somewhat frustrating to be addressing it in hindsight, although I do appreciate that there are changes going into effect in the plan and that reactions are being, done and whatnot, but I just wanted to second and voice that bit of frustration with the planning and the project and the progress of it thus far.
Thank you.
Yep, and I think, I don't know if y'all know this, and maybe you don't, but I recall reading somewhere that there was a time limit within which we needed to report if there was any sort of damage in relation to the blast, and so does anybody know if it is?
Yes, I do. It's 30 days, so you have 30 days to file a complaint after the blast.
Okay, so that's from like presumably the most recent blast? Is that where does that 30-day time period start?
From whatever if you think the blast happened on the last blast, then it's when you think the damage happened. If you think it happened on the last blast, you have 30 days to get that in.
Okay, so if there's just, okay, that answers my questions and those are my comments. Thank you, I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Danny, is there anyone else on Zoom?
I do not see anyone else on Zoom.
I'm sorry, it's Pauline. I'm trying to figure out how to raise my
Oh, that's okay, Pauline. Go ahead.
I'm using a phone because I'm not home, so that's why you don't see my name up there.
Okay.
But thank you, Danny. So you all can hear me, right?
Yes.
Okay. I missed the first half of the meeting, 3/4 of it at least. But the tail end, you've heard from at least 3 residents of Central Ave. I am not a resident of Central Ave, but Cambridge Street. And I'd like to ask 2 questions regarding the maps that we're looking at. The first one is up that red circle one about the perimeters for the blasting, if I understand its purpose. It's hard to see on an 11-inch phone, or iPhone 11, but as I enlarge it, in the lower left-hand corner is the top of Cambridge Street. Thank you. Yep, your arrow is right where I want it to be. What is the approximate number of the house where the edge of that red circle would be? Is it 55, 57 maybe?
Let me see. Here's Cambridge Street.
Right.
I don't know the address of that one. I know there is a house right here. I don't know the address of that.
Okay, I'm pretty sure I do. He unfortunately could not get in tonight either. But I've let him know. My question regarding those red circle maps, if you'll stay on that, go back to the other one. Go back to the street of Cambridge. And Danny, are you the one manipulating the browser?
Yes, I am.
Okay, take a little a trip down to the left-hand side to where the Neshoba Club is listed, and there's Adams Street. And where Adams Street intersects with Cambridge, as everybody in the town building department knows, we had all that construction there this summer. That's my house. So I am within a few hundred feet of the red circle edge. My house is built on the ledge. It's been there 40 years. I will admit there are cracks in the tile floors and so on and so forth. So I'm really not
more than for the implication of it all. I swear, I go to work every morning. I work on Central Ave, so Danny, you can show where that is, where the little blue circle is for compassionate care. I work right at the intersection of Adams and Central Ave at the TAG HVAC company. We feel those blasts. The other two ladies and I, we literally are out of our seats when they go off in the morning. We never know when they're going to happen. They usually are 10 or 11 in the morning. We don't hear the afternoon ones so much, but here's my fear, and it sounds a little ridiculous, but I expect one day to walk out the building at 4:30 to go home and see my house imploded on itself in a hole that was excavated when it was built, because it sits on an I-beam that sits on the ledge. I just want to share that with you because we're not supposed to be feeling these blasts all the way downtown. They are being felt on East Main Street from people I know as well, but we went through the blasting for 60 Central Ave and 48 Central Ave and never felt anything like this. Not a bit. We heard them, we heard the horn, we knew they were going to happen, but we weren't thrown, not literally thrown, but we weren't jumping out of our seats because of the percussion. You all might remember there was an earthquake that came through Ayer 4 or 5 months ago. This is worse. And you need to know this. You need to hear this from us, as much as we've tried. So I thought I would bring that up at this particular meeting. 20 Central Ave should not be rattled by percussion on 38 Broad Harvard Road, in my humble opinion. So I hope that at least Danny and everyone else involved takes note of that, because I'll be on the phone with you in 30 seconds flat if my house is caved in on itself when I go home one day. Let's hope it doesn't happen. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else online?
You can speak if you can't figure out the raise hand function. Catherine's hand's still up, but I don't see anybody else.
Did you want to, Danny, any wrap-up comments you want to make? Or?
I would just say if there's anything that you feel during construction, there's any issues, any complaints, please reach out to me and I can get those where they need to go, to whoever they need to go. If there's an immediate issue, you can always call me. I will usually be right on site really quickly. I'm in town hall, so I'm pretty easily, I can easily get there very, very quickly. I would say, yeah, if you, as Robert did say, if you feel there is you're not getting any answers back, it's not purposeful. I'm usually trying to be very quick with my responses for everybody, but I do get a lot of emails, phone calls, and I understand this is the important project to you, but I have other projects as well that I am handling as well. So I just want to make sure that you understand I'm not ignoring you. There's a lot of other things that I also have to deal with, but I try to get to your questions and make sure that I get to them.
Thank you. Well, I want to thank everyone who came here tonight, applicants, citizens, abutters, vendors, etc. I think everyone's been very forthright with their concerns and with their answers. Thank you. I'll take a motion to adjourn. So moved. Good night, everyone. Thank you.